The being is not always surprised when discovering that what it calls I is merely a composite it uses for temporary manifestation, and that it must obey its own rules. This is because all self-inquiry, no matter how simple, leads to the obviousness of this conclusion. The being, then, turns toward the quest to understand its identity. It will be this way for everyone, in the reassembly of a picture that is not new, but is uncovered when the first piece connects with the previous one, revealing the traces of the being's identity. In this quest, the repeated and insistent affirmation that what is conceived as living is merely an adaptation to a life, also adapted, will not be tiresome, for brilliance is given to revelations that serve the sole purpose of veiling once again. In this case, what seems obvious, is obvious by imposition and, therefore, is not truly clear. For this reason, it will be necessary to dismantle the obviousnesses, where deception points to the existence of choices, and offers them to the being. The figure or allegory of the all-seeing eye is not that of a supernatural being, but rather the eye of the being itself and, therefore, entirely accessible to it. It is clear that the all-seeing eye chooses nothing, and the divisions of time and space do not impress this master. Nor do romantic and enticing appeals to the being to lose itself in things like love and life, for such things cause it to lose itself. An attentive being perceives how simple the constructs are that easily envelop it. There are many beings who value the moments when perception allows them to clearly see these schemes, but arguments are not always strong enough to confront these skillful constructions. Still on the identity of the being, it is the home in which the being must dwell. A home invisible to the rulers of law, for if they had the humility and courage to recognize their ineptitude in teaching others, they would understand the danger of an authoritarian and ignorant education. What seems to be safe guidance is nothing more than a condition forcing the being to lose itself, remain in labyrinths, or worse, fall into abysses that distance it from its home. As soon as the being manifests, natural knowledge accompanies it. The teaching it receives, when it does not respect this state, forces the dulling of this knowledge, and the continuous addition of limits. Over time, the being finds it increasingly difficult to question the complicity of the rulers, whose clear signs of ignorance and, at times, regret are unmasked, but do not reclaim what has been lost. Deep within its nature, the being carries the recognition that what is strongest within it tends to be what will lead it to triumph. Observing the tendency of this strength closely provides it with a secure vision of the next steps, which only self-reflection can uncover. Everything that composes the being in manifestation does not submit to this strength, but rather aligns to support it, serving the purpose illuminated by wisdom. The being recognizes true education in the one who not only brings new things, but also offers teaching or guidance toward learning, like a book, for the formation of the being, and the orientation toward self and individual work is no longer a secret. The being no longer confuses mastery with the teachers of adaptability, for the latter will lead the being either toward vice and promiscuity, or toward virtue and sanctity, always adapting the being on the surface. The teachers of adaptability emerge from the manifested beings themselves, and act as adapted and unconscious, blending into creation.